you will find in life, as I wish you, first of all, a good morning, you will find in life people will literally be angry, be upset that you are where you are, and that you have survived what you survived. They actually are mad. They're not mad that you struggled. They're mad that you survived. That you survived unbothered, unavailable to a spiritual attack, unruffled by the battles and struggles you went through to get where you are. Angers them because it not only raises that spirit of jealousy they have, but it makes them feel less than because they've not used their time wisely. And as you go from one challenge to the next, because that's what growth is, a continual facing of challenges. You're not growing if you're not facing challenges. And as you go from one challenge to the next, sometimes you push, and sometimes you have to be patient and let some things play out. Do all you can do and supposed to do, and then let things play out. Because God's already worked out what you're trying to get done. It's already worked out. The key is that what you're doing, your work, going back to the weekend assignment of focusing and committing to taking care of your business. The key is that your business is not just about you, but that your business elevates you for a greater good that God wants done. And as long as you have that centered, that your business, your work is part of a larger move of God in these times and with these purposes, you can push yourself, but you can also be patient at the same time as you push it. Knowing God will bless what God has ordained as long as you don't do it for self-glory alone. Oh, you have ego gratification out of it. It's part of the reward. But that should not be all that you're there for. The higher you level up, the more you serve more than yourself. And you don't only just accept that, you expect that. That's part of the journey. In fact, that's the cause of the journey. Because at the end of the day, yes, we all want to be what we call successful. We all want to be of note in whatever field we're in. But at the end of the day, if we don't fit into serving the larger picture of what is needed and what God wants at these times, it's all for nothing. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all the other things will be added. Don't put your and mine ego gratification ahead of God's glorification. just automatically handled.
We have a short visit today. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were with Gold. Yeah. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time. And we,
Alexander Shaw. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket.
Wow.
To South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James and Jesse.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started brother.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and helping pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, do you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to our twins.
America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al.
Rev, you there?
I'm here.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, you are live.
It's Wednesday, October 15th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network headquarters in New York, corporate headquarters in New York, and for the next 3 hours you can join the conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or tweet us at twitter.com, the Rev Al, twitter.com, the Rev Al, or you can go to the message page on our www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream and put up a message. Jackie Waters is up saying Miami's on. Ricky Lee Psalm is saying that Ricky Lee Psalm, I think is Sam, is a big fan. Thank you for being on. The mayor's on the message board. Rodney Jones, what's on your mind Wednesday? Okay, he's starting to make Wednesday what's on your mind. All right. Deborah Patterson, good afternoon. Blessings to you. Blessings back at you. Democracy.fund said the only man I'll ever agree to be a sheep to is Reverend Al Sharpton. Well, I don't know about you being a sheep to me, but let us all get the sheep herd and the shepherds all going in the right direction, Disco. But I appreciate that. And on and on and on. I think that a lot to talk about today, a lot at stake. The Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments today on the case of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. The Section 2 is around the Louisiana redistricting case. And this could determine whether states can even consider race when drawing congressional maps, potentially gutting out one of the major protections against racial discrimination in voting. When the Voting Rights Act was first enacted in 1965, it said that you had to consider race. Later it said you could consider race among other things. They argue now it should not be included or considered at all. And if the court rules that means they can butcher up these district lines, these congressional district lines, any way they want. Carve out the districts that will vote conservative, and you will lose maybe 35-40% of your black elected officials because they're there because the districts were made where we at least dominated the vote. Didn't mean Democrat or Republican. Whatever way we wanted to vote, we were the population in the district. Now, a lot of people don't understand what that means is you can have a state like Louisiana, like Texas, that have a huge, if not not predominant presence in the state, and not have no black representation because of how they cut the district line. So Louisiana, large percentage of the state is black. If they rule race can be considered, they can carve that any way they want, those district lines. And you won't have any blacks in the Congress from Louisiana. They fought to get the second congressional seat, which Cleo Field sits in now. This is what's at stake. And I think that this is absolutely what we need to be dealing with. Also, the Supreme Court is dealing with when police can enter without a warrant in emergencies. Another case they're hearing. They'll decide how certain police must be that an emergency exists before entering a home without a warrant. Now, this is going to be about balancing public safety against the Fourth Amendment protections. this can get dangerous. It brings us back to feeling what happened with Breonna Taylor. So this case, again, a very conservative court. And let me tell you, people should not be doing the I can't believe it stuff. Because clearly, if everybody had voted, we wouldn't be facing this kind of court. So you should save your for those that didn't vote. We're also looking at multiple airports. I flew to Atlanta yesterday and back out last night. Got back in very late last night, but I came back so I could do Morning Joe this morning. And a lot of airports have refused to play Kristi Noem's video that blames the Democrats for the shutdown. Now, let me get this right. She makes a video, head of Homeland Security, and rather than say something encouraging or say something informative, she's going to use government resources in federally and state-funded airports to make a political partisan statement about the Democrats. These people have no shame, no compunction at all. And I think that we just need to be real clear. They have no shame. You're not going to shame these people. You have to beat them with votes and public pressure. That's all they understand. And they want to put this up at airports where some of the airport workers, I was talking to workers as I traveled yesterday, I don't know when they're going to get paid, if they're going to get paid. Some have done a workout, and some of that has caused travel problems. We were wondering yesterday whether our flights could get in and out with a lot of air traffic controls. Some of the controllers are not coming to work. So this is clearly a situation that you and I definitely should be concerned about. So we talk about all of this and more, whatever's on your mind, whatever's in your heart. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let me also add to the list of news items that we can discuss. There seems to be a real second look. I noticed this morning, despite the fact I got in very late last night, I still got them worked out. And I noticed on the news this morning, even before I got to the studio, is that a lot of people are saying, will this ceasefire in the Middle East, in Israel, Gaza, hold? Because there's reports Hamas is harming some people there in Gaza. There are some conservatives in Israel saying that Netanyahu shouldn't give them nothing and should not have released anybody. And there's some questions on all this congratulations he gets. Can he make it stick? And I congratulate him on getting phase 1. But I also said, but the test's going to be phase 2 and 3. Palestinian state, a 2-state solution. Otherwise, they're going to end up going right back to fighting. You cannot have a colonializing of Gaza. Now, don't forget, Trump talked about having the French Riviera there, like he wants to do some resorts and casinos and all that. All right, let's take our break and come back and go to the phones. Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Keeping it real.
We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who can run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry? Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Black. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started at Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP would put together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
it all starts.
How are you?
Highly favored. Highly favored.
Thank you.
All right. Love you.
Over your house.
All right, man.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, National Action Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
Live, Rev.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on our live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net, and you can send a message on the message board. And we've been building up that live stream page the last month, 5 weeks, and now we get a couple of hundred people watch on the live stream and comment. I'm going to get that up to a few thousand. Like, we have thousands deal with it on radio, but I want to get it up there for you watching, because we have these videos in between the segments. A lot of history you can see in those videos. Let me say, by way of announcements, don't forget to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, both Saturday and Sunday. And your watching it supports it and gives you information. I do not put people on the show that do not represent something that they have direct influence in what we're dealing with, whether it be voting rights, whether it be when I had to chair the Congressional Black Caucus on last weekend, whether it be the shutdown I had Senator Chuck Schumer leading Democrat in the Senate on and on and on. And make sure you watch it. It is Appointment TV every Saturday and Sunday. I put a lot of work and effort in to get the right kind of guest to get you the right information. All right, and all of you that are in the New York area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. And, of course, we're on 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Be there. Nothing like it. If you go, you will experience, you'll be inspired, energized, and commune with other people interested in doing and seeing justice. And, of course, you that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television. You that are in the Atlanta area, I was at the Atlanta office yesterday of National Action Network, did some of the show there, and they're having a relaunch of the Atlanta chapter. That chapter's there, but they want to relaunch, re-energize it, and I'm excited about it. They'll be meeting this Saturday, 18th of October, from 10 a.m. to 11:30. And, of course, we're supporting the No More Kings marches around the country, but we definitely need to put both the message pad and the thousands of us need to be on these pages, learn how to deal with social media. Let me put it that way. All right. Let me encourage those that are in Atlanta to be there at the relaunch meeting. People want to say, well, I want to know what the chapter's doing. Come to the meeting and suggest what you need to do. Say, I live in Atlanta. Here's what I think we ought to be doing. And run to be one of the leaders. I sat there yesterday in the office, did some of this show there. So make sure you that are in the Atlanta offices are meeting 10 to 11:30. Just an hour and a half, won't mess up your whole day. Is at the Southeast Regional Office of NAN, which is at 632 People Street Southwest, Atlanta. And you can call and get the information you need from Miss Edith there, 678, area code 678-732-0405. All right, and let me start going to the phones. Let's start in Atlanta, Georgia. You know, one of the things that struck me, they have a documentary. Rachel Maddow from MSNBC has a documentary coming out that will air this coming Friday, the 17th, at 9 o'clock on MSNBC on Andrew Young, called The Dirty Work. And it shows he was the guy that was behind the scenes, got his hands dirty, negotiated with the white segregationists, sheriffs that didn't want them to march, on and on. And I flew to Atlanta yesterday to host the fireside chat with Andrew Young and Rachel Maddow and brother John Hope Bryant. And let me tell you, it sent chills to me to think about this Supreme Court is listening today for arguments to uproot and destroy everything that Dr. King gave his life for. Andrew Young stood for. John Lewis got beat for. It was sort of providential to me that on the eve of the argument to kill the Voting Rights Act, I'm sitting on the stage with a man who had as much to do with it as anybody, and Andrew Young. We owe it to our forefathers to maintain a standard, a legal precedent that they established. We owe it to them. Because let me tell you, I'll tell you a little secret. Everybody listening to me, you're going to be dead longer than you're alive. I promise you that. I don't care if you live to be 100, you're going to be dead longer than that. So the thing that will matter after you're gone is, did you continue and preserve the things that were there on your behalf, and did you preserve it for those coming behind you? I tell people all the time, there's no more difficult task as a minister that I've faced than to preach the funeral of an irrelevant Negro. That's a hard job. Family sitting there crying, people sobbing and weeping, and I'm supposed to get up and hallucinate a life you never lived. Enjoy your life, make your living, all of that, but put something in your life agenda that matters more than just to you. Otherwise, when you go, and we're all going, I think that people will say your life meant something. But if all you did in your life is get you a nice little house, get you a nice car, get you several titles, and did nothing with them, didn't preserve the gains we made, didn't continue to improve the community, including your family, when you go, we'll give you a decent funeral, but that'll be the end of you because ain't nothing to remember. Somebody will be riding around your car. Sooner or later, they may sell your house, and the people that buy it don't care who lived there before. For you to matter, you need to do some things that matter to more than you. All right, I'm going to take a break in a minute. Do I have time to put a call in? Let me start in Atlanta, Georgia before I break. Atlanta, Georgia with Al. Al, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good evening, Reverend. How you doing today?
I'm doing well.
That's great. Look, 60 years ago, I thought we won all these civil rights and voting rights that we're now having trouble with. I think it all started when whoever that white girl was and invaded the NAACP a year or two ago. What we should do is spend at least $15 million on a foreign intelligence service to get them to come in and investigate how she did that, who was involved, how many people in our own culture helped them, and bust out everything that they've done, reverse everything they've done. We have to stop the corruption that they started in us, because ever since they did that, we've been having trouble out of the Voting Rights Act, and all the victories we won 60 years ago has been reversed. And if we don't do something to stop the slide, we're going to end up right back on the plantation before you know it. So I think we should retaliate. When we find out who was involved and who in our own ranks helped them, they should be sued, they should be censured, and even if necessary, those in high places who helped them should be shot. We have to purge our...
Well, we're not going to talk about shooting nobody. No, we're not going to do that. Thank you for your call. You can't get, you know better than that. And if you don't, I do. We're not advocating shooting anybody. Yes, they ought to be put the pressure on them. They ought to be removed or voted out and all, but we're not talking about shooting anybody. Let's go to Jerry in Cleveland, Ohio. Jerry?
So let's go break.
Wait a minute. Let me take my break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
What up, big brother? You good?
I've been talking about you all day on TV.
what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors. But there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
You live, Rev?
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or either go to the message page at live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. On the message page, Lori Parks is saying, talking about Democrats on Capitol Hill from the House and the Senate to start having these town hall meetings. I think that's important. Tricia says, I agree. I definitely agree with that very, very, very much. And I think that a lot of people would come out and challenge things. I also think it would contrast with the Republicans who was afraid to have it, those kinds of town hall meetings. Let's go to phones. Let me go to Cleveland to Jerry. Jerry, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I did a little research, and I'm looking, just back in history a little bit, and I believe Ronald Reagan was just the start of 70% of our problems, because I looked at the things he did when it came to the American people, and I'm talking about the poor, the middle class, the poor. He did more to harm them and affect them than he did to help them, yet somehow they got people thinking that he was a great president. And I think domestically, he was one of the poorest presidents. He's the one that got separation between the middle class and the wealthy to widen, because I think CEOs of companies make 400-something% more than what they did in the 80s, whereas the average American makes about 17% more. And his style was to blame somebody, get on TV a lot, blame people, because I never forget when they talked about the welfare queen. He got on TV lying, saying she made $150,000, which there was a welfare queen, but she made about $8,000, and they found that most of the people who defrauded the government as far as welfare were white males. But what the Republican Party seems to be so good at is giving people somebody to blame. They can blame other people for their failures, and it makes them feel good. And I guess it gives them a feeling of superiority. they have a habit of saying they. And I think you had somebody on the show once, and they were saying they, and you asked them, well, who is they? And they couldn't answer, and they tried to overtalk you. Because I heard people saying that they were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Who was celebrating his death?
Yeah.
Nobody celebrated his death. And they said that they're cheering on Hamas. Nobody's cheering Hamas. But we don't like Netanyahu. I think what the Democrats need to do is the Republicans have them chasing around in circles, all these different things. And I still think they need to pick out maybe 3, maybe 4 things where they can harp on. Voting rights, that's big to me. That's one of the things because, I hear people comment that so many blacks didn't vote. And you can tell me if I'm right on this. They always comment so many blacks didn't vote. Could it be because so many blacks were taken off the voting polls and stopped from voting and finding out that their IDs weren't good enough? Could that be a big reason why so many blacks didn't vote? And another thing I had to say is I'm looking at health care. They need to stay on that. They need to stay on voting rights. And they need to stay on how people aren't getting paid for, what they should be paying. Because it's the middle class, the poor, who have so much productivity in society today. They always brag about America, the productivity. But then they want to pay less money for the productivity.
That's right. That's right. Well said.
That we're doing.
Right.
And that's all I wanted to say. It just irritates me, but we do have somebody to blame for our problems, and that's the billionaires. As Dennis Kucinich used to say, the fat cats.
Yeah.
We have them to blame for our problems.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let me say, I think that Ronald Reagan definitely planted the seeds and grew some of the fruit of the last 50 years of conservatism. After we had gone through the civil rights movement of that time, 50s and 60s, and got into the 70s, where we started dealing with black empowerment and changing some of the laws. We had in 64 changed the public accommodations with the Civil Rights Act, and then in 65 the Voting Rights Act. And a lot of people who've enjoyed the results of them act like they were nothing. But if you had to live in a town or a city where you had to get in the back of the bus and couldn't eat at certain restaurants, couldn't check in a hotel, couldn't work in certain jobs, you wouldn't know how outrageous it is. It's like apartheid was in South Africa. So that movement that changed those laws and opened up options for blacks in this country we didn't have. Then 68 came, they killed Dr. King as he was fighting the war in Vietnam. And Nixon was elected, who started the turn back toward against civil rights, against voting rights. He got caught in the second term with Watergate. And then Jimmy Carter came in that reversed it back. He's close with Andy Young, close with the King family on some of our civil rights issues. Then Reagan came behind Jimmy Carter and went all the way back right. And there's been a battle between the right and the progressive forces in the black community ever since. So I think you're right. Now, Trump is just more raw and bombastic and obvious, but it's the same body politic of do not give anything to deal with the compensating of the historic racial exclusion of blacks. Because again, we're not talking about a gift. We're talking about we are behind economically, home ownership, wealth, because by law you made us stay back. So by law you must correct what your bad laws did. People talk about why do we have to pay? Because you did it. This wasn't a attitude. This wasn't a feeling. This wasn't some whites didn't like blacks. This was the law. And until you can equalize what you did to the law or what you did to us through the law, you've got to enforce restructuring. And that's what some did. And the Reagans and the Nixons all the way to the Trumps said, no, we're going to reverse that pattern. That's why Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who I was blessed to know, used to say, you must remember the movement is not a sprint, it is a marathon. It's going to keep going from one generation to the next. Why? Because the people we're fighting are going from one generation to the next. They inherit property and then say we don't own property. Because we couldn't, my grandparents couldn't, by law, own with certain things in Wabassa, Alabama, or Eufaula, Wabassa, Florida, or Eufaula, Alabama. I know about my grandparents. So let's be real clear. And I think you hit it right on the head. Let me go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira.
Yeah, good evening, Reverend Al. Just want to say thank you for my call. And what it is, I was talking about when you made a comment about people not voting. I think that people did vote, but I think it was electronically compromised is what I think. That's my personal opinion. Electronically compromised. They all voted. Nobody voted for this craziness, this nonsense. And this is what they do. So I think we all voted. And I don't think nobody stood out because they said they didn't want a woman, which they all claimed they didn't want a woman to be a president. It doesn't make a difference if a monkey be a president. If they do this job, we don't care who it is, as long as they treat everybody equal and fair. That's the bottom line. But I had a conversation with a buddy of mine. He's a crazy nut. I'm going to call him that because he thinks Trump is a savior. I'm going to tell him now. I said, you just don't know yet. He's a handicapped person, but he's going to find out. When Trump take away everything, even his handicap behind, that he's going to suffer as well. He's talking about, oh, y'all just hate Trump because he won. No, he didn't just win. He did not win. He got voted in by cheating or whatever form there is or whatever they do, what they do. But I told him, I said, no, you're going to find I'm not going to debate with you anymore. I said, I tell you what, when everything happens, when it does, I'm going to call you out on it. So, Reverend Al, I'm not worried about these people. They talking this craziness. It's not true. All this is just a hoax about this craziness about what it is, what it ain't. These people are trying to destroy minority America. Let me say that. I keep it clean. Minority America. They're trying to destroy them and stop them from being as human as we are normally are, as we are anyway, as compatible as anybody from any other ethnic origin or race in this world. So they don't want us to be equal because it's a threat to them. For what reason? I don't know. If you mind your business, we can mind our business. You don't have to worry about what we do. You stay in your lane. We're going to continue to grow and prosper in our lane. Leave us alone. Anyway, Reverend, I appreciate the call. And you tell them Cheeto, number 45, is still a real butt piece. How about that?
All right. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about it.
Teaching young kids the right way to go and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold them to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door. And he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program. And the fact of helping kids and giving them the right idol and the right image to go with. Cleaning, grooming, and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be is a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game because that's been trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of. A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed, just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, well, to them, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering as a kid, because I was hungry, and here I am today, it's not hopeless. Don't say hopeless. Then we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope? If you believe in something, try it. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not going to go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
I'll say it.
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's awful weak to tell a kid you can be a James Brown, one of the greatest entertainers in the world, and me, one of the greatest fighters. And like you said, the hundreds of thousands of millions of kids that need a break. You can't have that many great people, but they can get educated. They can go to school. They can learn. I'd like to say one thing. We have crime today. It's a big problem. I think they took a national vote on what the people want the government to spend most of the money on, and crime was over national defense. Worrying about Russia, China, outside enemies, they're worrying about inside crime. We have crime today, all type prostitution, murder, exploitation, degradation, and wars of all kinds. And I'm going to tell you why everything's happening. And I think if you're intelligent, you agree with it. If we were riding an airplane and the two pilots died for some reason, is there anybody in this room that can go in the cockpit, pick up the radio, start working it, bring the plane in, depressurize it as a land, and make it, and late at night on a stormy day? You couldn't do it.
Right.
Well, but if you learn how to fly, or if they show you how to fly, you can. Since God made the world and God made us, He sent the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, sent Moses, Jesus, Noah, to show us how to run the world. And God left His laws. If we don't follow His laws, then we crash.
Let me say this, though, Mr. Snyder, in response to your question to Mr. Brown, Mr. Ali. Yes, it is enough to begin with showing them an example, because before you get to education, you need motivation. If you don't have motivation to get out of the bed, you won't make school or the party. And what we try to do by showing a James Brown or Muhammad Ali is not that you can be a great champion maybe like Ali or a great entertainer like James Brown, but if you use the same initiative that they did to make him get up 5 in the morning and run 10 miles and just have a dream and to come back 3 times and accomplish that dream, to have more hits than anybody in the world, even when the music world wouldn't give him credit for it in terms of a James Brown. If you had that initiative to keep working at whatever it is that you're going to do, you can succeed. And what we're saying to them is you may not reach the plateau of public prominence of them, but if you can reach the personal discipline and personal motivation of them, you can reach a plateau in your life. Because it's not about looking for a government handout, it's about looking for a way out, as James Brown said.
All right, and then how receptive are the young people that you tell this to?
Very receptive.
Really?
Very receptive. Very receptive. I think that people have misunderstood that most people of impoverished and depressed areas are not looking for the government to give them something. They just want a chance. I remember when I was a little boy, James Brown used to sing, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open the door, I'll get it myself. Well, that's all people want now is a chance. Let me get a piece of the action. Let me get a piece of the pie. Let me stand up on my own.
All right. At one
man should have the major corporations, the government, should get behind him and push the programs that he's about.
Except maybe if he does it himself and gets grassroots support, it's better than having the government stick their nose in, because they have a way sometimes.
We're not talking about control.
Yeah.
We're not talking about control. We're talking about a way of start. You know, they have to start. If they fund Chrysler and fund all these different other things, they can fund a small man to get started. Then the private sector will join in, but let them help too. It should be.
Last thing. Somewhere along the line here tonight, we used a graphic saying long, hot summer. Are you in any way, I'm certain you're not predicting a long, hot summer. You're not predicting urban strife. You're not predicting disorder, anything like that.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, at home you have an oven. There are flames on top of the oven, and then there's heat in the oven. We always discuss whether there'll be a flame on the top, and don't discuss it. There's already 600 degrees inside. I'm not concerned as much about a long, hot summer because it's been a long, hot winter. Yeah. People are unemployed.
Okay.
People are unemployed. People are getting their homes ripped off. Parents' pocketbooks being snatched. As Ali said, crime is at a highest rate it's ever been. So rather than us running around the streets looking for a brick, we should be looking at the fact the brick is already in most people's houses. How do we get the brick out of the house? How do we cool the long oven out? Let's not wait for the explosion and then just cut the flames off upstairs. Let's put the flame out inside. And the only way to do that is everybody to get up and work by the sweat of their brow in America and try to produce, be productive like these two gentlemen have been in their life against all odds. They came up in a world that was alien to them, and they made it. And we can make it if we have the same initiative they did.
Mr. Sharpton, it's been a pleasure to have you here tonight, and I've enjoyed meeting you very much. Thank you for coming by, and thank you, James Brown, for being with us again. Kent, thank you for being here tonight.
Rev, you know, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself.
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the hair on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
The Reverend Al Sharpton.
You live, Rev.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or go to our live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and go to live stream and go on the message board. Our message board, let me read some of our message board. Is the Democracy.Fund said what Reagan said in his speech. Reagan declared his support for states' rights. That's a fact. The subtext of states' rights had long segregationist code for resisting federal enforcement of civil rights laws. Reagan announced his running for president in a small city in Mississippi that was only known for the hanging of black people. No, Reagan knew every signal to send. There's no doubt about that. And I think that Bruce Turner's right when he writes on the message board, Reagan was more polished than the Republicans now. I totally agree. Well, he was a Hollywood actor, so he knew how to polish it up and say it in a way that he was giving you sugar-coated policy poison. Tastes good, but it would kill whatever you wanted done, and I think that is absolutely right. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Ray and the Buzz. The Buzz. Ray, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Rev. The last call when he was talking about Reagan, that was a really good call. I'm glad he called in. But Rev, you said something earlier that the Republicans cannot be shamed, and you're right. They can't be shamed, and they don't mind telling you they can't be shamed. And so that's one of the real issues there, Rev. But did I hear the other day where Donald, I could have the country wrong, but Donald Trump has given $20 billion to Argentina?
Yeah, that's right.
Why?
He's to help bail them out, his bailout money. And there's been stories in the papers today, I was reading earlier online and in the paper, where now some of the white farmers that voted for Trump are furious because Trump put 100% tariff on China. China stopped all of its trade with soybeans, or with farmers here, which were mostly white MAGA farmers. They lost all of that export market. Trump lent, which really gave these millions of dollars to Argentina. And Argentina immediately started selling their soybeans to China, which they replaced the MAGA guys that had lost the contract because of Trump. No, it's absolutely right. It made no sense at all because the economy, I understand, in Argentina is so shaky there is no real possibility in the near future anyway they're going to pay it back. So you have to ask, what was the motive for him to do that?
Right. And I'll leave you with this, Rev. I don't watch right-wing TV or listen to right-wing radio at all. But on these morning Sunday shows, it seems like that more Republicans are out front on who is keeping the government shut down. And they're blaming the Democrats, but they don't tell you why. Where the Democrats are saying, we want to protect health care, which is pretty much common sense with everyone. And I don't see enough press conferences from Democrats explaining that issue. I think they could do more. I'm not blaming them. I'm like, they could be doing more. It's just like the Republicans, they're creating the narrative, and the Democrats are on defense. I mean, health care is a major issue for this whole country. And these Republican and these Democrat politicians should be out front every day, press conferences. In my opinion, they should be doing commercials when around the baseball playoffs.
Yeah,
that's
a great idea. That's a great idea.
But I'm not seeing one commercial about this government shutdown, blaming Republicans. On these while the baseball playoffs are going on. So hopefully during the World Series, something will change. Maybe, you can mention something like that on your show. And speaking about your show, great job from Dominique. I always say, Rev, if you ever retire, Politics Nation is in good hands. It's in good hands. And I've always said she ought to write a book and call it Growing Up Sharpton.
Wow.
So that's one sharp woman right there. So, the Democrats need to be out front on TV doing press conferences about protecting health care, which protects MAGA, Republicans, Black MAGA, Republicans. So, that's just my opinion on that. I don't know how you feel about that, though. But Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me go to the Gantz. Is it Gantz?
Gantz.
Gantz family in South Carolina. Gantz family.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you, Reverend Al Sharpton?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
We are great. My name is Sunshine Gant, and I've got my husband here as well.
Hey, Pastor, how you doing? This is Tracy Gant.
All right, Tracy Gant. I'm fine.
I am the one who recently reached out to you. We were in the middle of a crisis concerning our homeless shelter that we own. And we just wanted to call in to say thank you. You did exactly what the first response to someone in a crisis needs to do, and you took action. We want to thank you. We want to thank Reverend Rivers and Trudy Grant, who actually came out.
So you the homeless shelter in South Carolina. Yeah, you sent us the note, and I immediately called Reverend Rivers, who heads our religious affairs for National Action Network, and told him to go down there and find out what we can do to be helpful. So I'm glad he sent me a report. He's on it. He's working with y'all. And the great work y'all are doing. I mean, a lot of people in our community ignore the homeless. We're so busy trying to become middle class and homeowners ourselves. So what y'all are doing is God's work, and whatever we could do to help support you, we wanted to do that. That's why I said to Rivers, don't call them, go up in there. And nobody's stronger than Trudy Grant. I'm very happy they are on it with you, and you stay in touch with them and let them know what we need to do.
Thank you, and that's all we wanted.
All right.
It means so much to us.
All right, thank you. Well, stay in touch with us, and let's work through this together. You're doing God's work. Thank you. Let me go to my man in Detroit, the top labor activist on the ground I know. Brother Percy Johnson. Brother Percy, how you doing?
Pretty good, Rev Mal. Pretty good. I called last week. Thanks for taking my call, man. And I called last week. Dominique was on, so I gave her the good news first. So the 2-year effort of going door to door, talking to these home care workers in our state, giving them the pathway of how they can focus on getting their union back and how they can get the bill passed to be able to vote to get their union back. And they voted last Thursday, and they voted more than 3-1 against the no vote and won the vote to where now they are able to be unionized to be able to start working on the contract for our home care workers in our state.
Wow, that's great.
SEIU, Service Employee International Union, laid the floor mat out in the pathway of how to civically get involved to bring that group of people. It's 38,000 home care workers in our state. And they seriously, Mel, did a door-to-door across the state of touching people, talking to people, door-to-door, calling them on the phone, man, and showing them how they can make the change civically. And Reverend Mel, and that's how you do it, man. You don't do it by, that upset me listening to somebody talking about shooting somebody. That's not the way. The way is of being civically involved, and we as a group of people, we can make the change. But we have to come together civically, strategize a way, and make it work. Just like the way we, in our state, we changed the policy of taking away from the politicians or drawing our districts to where we took it away from the elected officials where the people draw the lines up. And people, you got to start asking yourself, what are you doing civically to help make the change for your community, for your tax revenue? Every time you spend a dime, every time you buy something, you're putting money in the pot that brings resources to your community. So shame on you if you're not sitting back, figuring out a way to bring that revenue back to you. When you just sit on the fence and just let stuff happen, you're part of the problem. You got to start looking at yourself and realizing that we got a country where civic engagement really works, but we have to be involved with it right now.
That's exactly right. Without our involvement, first of all, you don't have the right to complain if you're not involved. So you're absolutely right, Percy, and congratulations on that victory. That means a lot to a lot of people. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. More of you on the phones and on the live stream message board, 1-877-532-5797, or live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Be right back.
1, 2, 3, I got the feeling. Hey, baby, baby, I got the feeling. How I got that feeling, yeah. Hey, hey, got that feeling, y'all. Come on. Feeling, baby. Oh, I got the feeling.
As Ukraine continues its defense against.
I got the feeling. Oh, won't you say, baby, baby, I got that. Baby, oh, feeling, baby. Oh, hey, hey, oh, baby, 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 baby. Come on, sing it out, baby, baby. Come on. Can't hear you. Hey, hey. I got that. Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored.
All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such an emotional outburst, but you would have to understand the journey of Michael to understand what he meant to all of us. For these that sit here as the Jackson family, a mother and father with 9 children that rose from a working class family in Gary, Indiana. They had nothing but a dream. No one believed in those days that these kind of dreams could come true. But they kept on believing, and Michael never let the world turn him around from his dreams. I first met Michael around 1970, Black Expo, Chicago, Illinois, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who stood by this family till now. And from that day as a cute kid to this moment, he never gave up dreaming. It was that dream that changed culture all over the world. When Michael started, it was a different world. But because Michael kept going, because he didn't accept limitations, because he refused to let people decide his boundaries, he opened up the whole world. In the music world, he put on one glove, pulled his pants up, and broke down the color curtain, where now our videos are shown and magazines put us on the cover. It was Michael Jackson that brought blacks and whites and Asians and Latinos together. It was Michael Jackson that made us sing "We Are the World" and feed the hungry long before Live Aid. Because Michael Jackson kept going, he created a comfort level where people that felt they were separate became interconnected with his music. And it was that comfort level that kids from Japan and Ghana and France and Iowa and Pennsylvania got comfortable enough with each other
to later it wasn't strange to us to watch Oprah on television. It wasn't strange to watch Tiger Woods golf. Those young kids grew up from being teenage, comfortable fans of Michael to being 40 years old and being comfortable to vote for a person of color to be the president of the United States of America. Michael did that. Michael made us love each other. Michael taught us to stand with each other. There are those that like to dig around mess, but millions around the world, we're going to uphold his message. It's not about mess, it's about his love message. As you climb up steep mountains, sometimes you scar your knee, sometimes you break your skin, but don't focus on the scars, focus on the journey. Michael rose to the top. He outsang his cynics. He outdanced his doubters. He outperformed the pessimists. Every time he got knocked down, he got back up. Every time you counted him out, he came back in. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. I want to say to Mrs. Jackson and Joe Jackson, his sisters and brothers, we thank you for giving us someone that taught us love, someone that taught us hope. We want to thank you because we know it was your dream too. And we know that your heart is broken. I know you have some comfort from the letter from the President of the United States and Nelson Mandela, but this was your child. This was your brother. This was your cousin. Nothing will fill your heart's loss. But I hope the love that people are showing will make you know he didn't live in vain. And I want his 3 children to know, wasn't nothing strange about your daddy. It was strange what your daddy had to deal with. But he dealt with it. He dealt with it anyway. He dealt with it for us. So some came today, Mrs. Jackson, to say goodbye to Michael. I came to say thank you. Thank you because you never stopped. Thank you because you never gave up. Thank you because you never gave out. Thank you because you tore down our divisions. Thank you because you eradicated barriers. Thank you because you gave us hope. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael.
This 33-year-old preacher without a church.
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the 2 most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist.
I had they known I was not defined by others saw me. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Now, Carol Mathers has written something on our message board that I've heard and I'm going to check out because this is extremely troubling. Carol writes, Reverend Al, are you aware that Dominion sold their voting machines to a firm known as Liberty Vote, which is run by a former Republican election official, which means the Republicans can now rig the votes in their favor. This whole question of rigging votes, rigging machines.
Carol just called. I heard you talking about her, so she was on the phone too.
Right. So I can't talk and listen at the same time. Somebody's trying to say something. So I'm very, very, very concerned that we are not putting enough spotlight, attention, and enough of our I'm trying to choose my word correctly, but enough of our research into digging up to what this is. So I've heard this before that Carol wrote, and I'm checking it out thoroughly because we need to make this extremely well-known and investigated. We do not have the federal government. We can investigate it state by state. So I'm trying to find out. I just saw this the other day. I'm trying to find out, Carol, how we can substantiate this so they're not saying, oh, they out there with conspiracy theories. It's not true. I'm trying to confirm it and then go from there. But thank you for posting that. Let's go to Woody in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Woody. Is Woody there?
I got him up, but he's not saying nothing.
Okay, I don't hear Woody, so let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia. Let's stay in Philly. Disco Brian.
Rev, I'm going to keep it really real today, and it's a little heavy. I apologize ahead of time before I get into it. Before I say a single thing, I need to honor your voice. Not the words you speak, but the sound you make. It feeds my spirit and it steadies me. And there are only two male voices that even come close. One is no longer with us. It's the voice of Casey Kasem. You remember him, Rev?
Oh, yeah, very well.
And another voice, Rev, is Myron Clifton. Do you know Myron Clifton, Rev?
No, I don't.
We all remember Casey's voice. But, Rev, if you haven't yet, please discover Myron Clifton. His voice, sonically and morally, is pure truth. He's probably my favorite human being beyond you and my wife. Please help give that brother more exposure. He is the best of K-Hive. He's calm, conscious, loving, and even though the George Carlin fan in me likes some of the really performative members of our community like Kenny Walden, who curses and every other word is MF this and
right.
MF that.
Right.
It's people like Myron Clifton who I think I would love to see on MSNBC sometime. Anyway, Rev, about Casey Kasem, I want to thank iHeartRadio for keeping American Top 40 spinning. Rev, do you remember listening to American Top 40?
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
Yeah, the countdowns, the long-distance dedications, the way he made America feel like one family. Do you remember that, Rev?
Yeah, I do.
Rev, do you remember what religion Casey Kasem was?
No, I don't.
Yeah, he was a Muslim.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. When you said that, it does come
Yeah,
back.
he was a Muslim. Rev, he was a Muslim who celebrated black and Jewish music for a living, who treated America's pluralism like a sacred trust. Rev, Casey Kasem was a very different kind of Muslim than the ones the algorithm rewards today. People like Hassan Piker or your former colleague Mehdi Hassan. Those brothers are not using their platforms to lift the Black-Jewish alliance that Casey Kasem cherished, okay? They use them to amplify outrage. They love Mamdani, a man who calls Kamala Harris a genocide supporter, while ignoring 25 years of Israelis and Palestinians who've been in the streets resisting Netanyahu's far-right corruption together. These Muslims make anger profitable. Casey Kasem made empathy, like you do, Rev. Casey Kasem made empathy profitable. This morning, while I was listening, I got in the background, Rev, I heard Casey introduce Keep On Smilin' by Wet Willie. Do you remember that song, Rev?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's from the year I was born and the year that you turned 20. And one lyric God forced on me today, and it said this: singing in a honky-tonk cafe, but nobody's hearing what you play. That's my life right now, Rev. I've been singing my heart out in this digital honky-tonk where billionaires own the algorithm and prophets of division get all the airplay. I'm trying to make people hear the truth. But they're too busy drinking the outrage. And through it all, two things have kept me upright. My wife, Lindsay, whose love I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve, and you, Reverend Sharpton, your respect for me, I do not deserve, and it is the greatest honor of my lifetime. But I need to speak to the pain behind my work, Rev. When I called out the Mamdanis and the fake anti-imperialists, the troll farm armies swarm me. They tell me to paint my ceiling a shade of Kurt Cobain red. They drag my mother into it, sexualizing her trauma. And Rev, that's no small thing. My mother was raped by a man who broke into our apartment after my parents divorced when I was 3 years old. And that wound shaped me and my mother. So when these online mobs who are friends of Mamdani mock that, it isn't trolling. It's spiritual warfare. And I ask you honestly, Rev, if people who claim to stand for justice did that to someone who honored you, would you stay silent, Rev?
No, not at all. I think, again, I'm going to say, as I said, probably Monday, that I think that you have some very strong, firm views, much of which I agree with, and others have different views, some of which I agree with. I want everybody to express themselves, but don't be disrespectful of the fact that people have a different view than you. And since you've come on the show and been dealing with things, I think you've made valuable contributions. Came up with your wife to the House of Justice. And some of you just sit back and criticize anything and anybody. You don't have to agree, but don't be disagreeable. So I absolutely would defend myself if I were you. You're absolutely right. Thank you for your call, and thank you for talking about Casey. I don't hear a lot of people talk about Casey Kasem. Great person in our culture. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
I got a Tony.
You got it. My daughter won a Tony Award.
That's crazy.
All right, congratulations.
Thing past hope, because I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare, and my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out, but she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilliard is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa glory, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Pam in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Pam. Is Pam there?
Reaching out to her, but she's not answering.
All right, let me go to Woody. I think we got Woody back in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Woody.
Yes, sir. Reverend, that's the second time that happened, and I don't know what's going on, but to make a long story short, when something continues to go on, it always has a purpose and a reason behind it. So I always say if you remove the cause of a problem, the problem will cease to exist. So I just want to say hello to you, and also to tip my hat to your daughter. Dominique is dominant. She's direct. She gets right to the point, and she's a reflection of you. If you look in the mirror, you'll see her, and if she looks in the mirror, she'll see you. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I have 4 girls and 4 boys. Now, all my daughters, I see the love in their eyes when I talk with them. When I hear you two yesterday on the air, it made me feel like that was me and my daughters. You see what I'm saying? Nothing's greater than the love of a daughter to a father. And I just really appreciated hearing you guys on at the same time. It really uplifted me and made me feel good inside, because we all have to learn something from our parents. And if we don't start to learn how to respect and honor the mother and the father, your days won't be lengthened. They'll be shorter. So I just want to tip the hat to all moms and dads out there, and those who don't think they, may have had the greatest experiences with their parents. Somebody out there has been a parent to you, or you wouldn't be around. So all I'm saying to you, please understand that young lady is you, and she and you are her. And when I hear you both, it just makes me feel wonderful inside. The other thing I wanted to say about Donald Trump is that when he made that statement, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm putting something together now in the recording of that that African Americans, what the hell do you have to lose? Your schools are messed up. You can't get money from banks. You're being gentrified out your neighborhoods. I'm the only one that can fix it. We got to hold him to those words, and we need to play those words over and over so we can hear it on the air and understand here's a man that told a lie. So he's still in office, so he's still got an opportunity not to make it a lie, but thus far he hasn't mentioned it again, and I really know that's how you feed on people. You put something out false and get them to go to it, and then they find out, like biting an apple, that's not real. And you hungry as heck. So this is what I look at when I see our people in our society. We're suffering with the lack of the proper education, and so many people have not gotten equal opportunity to that. So when you graduate with that diploma as a receipt for educational services never truly rendered, that to me is a crime that must be addressed. I'm trying to do what I can do, Rev, but I know if it's possible for you to give it some thought, that's the first thing they took away from the slave and made it against the law, was to read. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, that's basically what I wanted to say. And again, Dominique, if you're listening, I'm proud of you, and I'm not even your dad. So, Reverend Sharpton, salute to you for having such a great daughter who is a reflection of yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm very proud of her and Ashley. But thank you for your call. Let's go to Miss Richardson, my friend in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Miss Richardson.
Yes, good afternoon, my dear.
Good afternoon.
You sound wonderful, Rev, and just keep taking the serum that is the healthy serum. And I would imagine at your home you have a mixer like where you can mix the vegetables and fruits or whatever together.
Yeah,
make a nice.
do that. I do that.
Mm-hmm.
I drink kale juice every morning before I work out, and I also take the powder protein, mix it with water, and take that. So because I don't eat meat anymore, I make sure I have my protein. I'm very deliberate about what I'm doing with my health.
Yes, I know. And you sound great. So does your daughter. She is, I have to piggyback like the people calling. She's wonderful. I listened to her yesterday. And me and David was out on the porch, because it was, we were just trying to see what was going on with the weather.
Right.
And we heard her. And she's so wonderful, Red, your daughter. So let her stay exactly how she is. She's a lady that has respect for others. She never gets rude with anybody. She's always pleasant like a lady. Even if you disagree with her or she disagrees with you, she maintains that quality that only Reverend Al, her father, can bring. Rev, it hurts me because I don't have long. You see, people like me and Sister Eunice and people, we don't have forever. But these younger people who we need to get into the realm of politics, and politics really to me is politricks. But but I listen. My husband and I have listened to it for years. Like programs like C-SPAN and CNN. All of those we listen to them on the radio. You can get it on FM. And let me tell you what Schumer was saying, and then I'll let you what Mike Johnson said, and then I want to hang up and listen to your response. Now, Schumer came on this morning with, and Rev, how that is, just that constant political footballing at each other, talking about each other like little children. I always came on people remember me from saying that men are like little babies with the little rattlers. They just take the little rattler and rattle it in their hand, and they don't know what to do with it. That's how they seem to be going as adults. In a way, they're very childish in their childish play with each other. And that's why a lot of people don't listen to it, because they know all they're going to get from both sides is a bunch of you-know-what a lot of times. And they're just trying to make the other ones look like the liars. And then the other ones is making them look like they're the liars. And it goes on. And really, that's why people think it's boring. But I wish what these people would do, these politicians, get into the detail. Get into the meat, as they always say. Get into the meat of the fiber of what the detailed problems are from each side, because Johnson is saying it's this extreme left side that's keeping things the way they are with the shutdown. Then Schumer comes on and say, well, they're concerned about the health care. Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer, they were talking this morning. We're concerned for the millions that would go without health care, and they were right. But Mike Johnson is saying that Schumer is keeping them from opening it up. Now, I want you to get your response, because they want the illegals to get also what legal Americans are getting, and Mike Johnson said, no, they're not going to do it. He's saying that costs $200 to $300 billion, Rev, with a B, to have these illegal, undocumented ones that a lot of blacks are for. That's why in my own opinion now, this is only my opinion. I don't want to distress it on you, Rev. This is not Reverend. I'm talking about Mrs. Richardson now. I see it as a delay of the legal people that's Americans from getting their health care. A lot of them are elderly that will die if Schumer doesn't come around, because Mike Johnson is saying Schumer wants this $200 to $300 billion for the illegals to also get the health insurance like regular Americans, and that's what's keeping it shut down, because Mike says Schumer is holding it up. Now, Rev, I want your response. I'll hang up, and David and I'll listen, and we love you dearly. Keep the good work up, and I'll listen to you tomorrow.
Rev?
Yeah. I think Ms. Richardson, I'd hit the wrong button here, but I think one of the things that I think we've got to be careful of, and it always comes to mind when I hear Ms. Richardson and others, is that we need to not get into labeling people. This one sounds right wing, this one sounds left wing, this one sounds progressive, this sounds whatever. We need to let people speak their truth, and you go and state your truth, whether it's in agreement or in disagreement. I worked very closely with former President Barack Obama. Saw him the other night, in fact. That didn't mean I agreed with everything he said and did. And in meetings, I would challenge things I disagreed with. Now, because I agreed with more than I disagreed with, and because I thought some things he did was extremely important, I refrained from letting the media exploit our disagreements. But I never told nobody to shut up, don't disagree with Obama, because they didn't have the same positioning that I had. And that's what I say about people that talk to us on radio or that talk on a message platform. They have the right to say and do whatever they consider right, and we can express whether we agree with it or not. What I don't tolerate is people disrespecting other people and people just lying, just making up stuff just making up stuff. That I don't tolerate. Let's get ready to take our break. We'll come right back. More of you on the phones and on the message board. 1-877-532-5797. Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Democratic presidential candidate, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to address my remarks in two parts. One, I'm honored to address the delegates here. Last Friday, I had the experience in Detroit of hearing President George Bush make a speech. And in the speech, he asked certain questions. I hope he's watching tonight. I would like to answer your questions, Mr. President. To our chairman, our delegates, and all that are assembled, we're honored and glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be joined by supporters and friends from around the country. I'm glad to be joined by my family, Kathy, Dominique, who will be 18, and Ashley. We are here 282 years after, right here in Boston, we fought to establish the freedoms of America. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War is buried not far from here, a black man from Barbados named Crispus Attucks. 40 years ago, in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party stood at the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City, fighting to preserve voting rights for all Americans and all Democrats, regardless of race or gender. Hamer's stand inspired Dr. King's March in Selma, which brought about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 20 years ago, Reverend Jesse Jackson stood at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco, again appealing to preserve those freedoms. Tonight, we stand with those freedoms at risk and our security as citizens in question. I have come here tonight to say the only choice we have to preserve our freedom at this point in history is to elect John Kerry, the President of the United States. I stood with both John Kerry and John Edwards over 30 occasions in debates during the primary season. I not hated them, I watched them. I observed their deeds. I looked into their eyes. I am convinced that they are men who say what they mean and mean what they say. I am also convinced that at a time when a vicious spirit in the body politic of this country that attempts to undermine America's freedoms, our civil rights, our civil liberties, we must leave this city and go forth and organize this nation for victory for our party and John Kerry and John Edwards in November. But let me quickly say, this is not just about winning an election. It's about preserving the principles on which this very nation was founded. Look at the current view of our nation worldwide as a result of our unilateral foreign policy. We went from unprecedented international support and solidarity on September 12, 2001, to hostility and hatred as we stand here tonight. We can't survive in the world by ourselves. How did we squander this opportunity to unite the world for democracy and to commit to the global fight against hunger and disease? We did it with a go-it-alone foreign policy based on flawed intelligence. We were told that we were going to Iraq because there were weapons of mass destruction. We lost hundreds of soldiers. We spent $200 billion at a time we had record state deficits. And when it became clear that there were no weapons, they changed the premise for the war and said, no, we went because of other reasons. If I told you tonight to let's leave the Fleet Center, we're in danger. And when you get outside, you ask me, Reverend Al, what is the danger? And I say it don't matter, we just needed some fresh air. I have misled you, and we were misled. We are also faced with the prospect of, in the next 4 years, that 2 or more Supreme Court justices' seats will become available. This year, we celebrated the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. This court has voted 5-4 on critical issues of women's rights and civil rights. It is frightening to think that the gains of civil and women's rights and those movements in the last century could be reversed if this administration is in the White House in these next 4 years. I suggest to you tonight that if George Bush had selected the court in '54, Clarence Thomas would have never got to law school. This is not about a party. This is about living up to the promise of America. The promise of America says we will guarantee quality education for all children and not spend more money on metal detectors than computers in our schools. The promise of America guarantees health care for all of its citizens and doesn't force seniors to travel to Canada to buy prescription drugs they can't afford here at home. The promise of America provides that those who work in our healthcare system can afford to be hospitalized in the very beds they clean up every day. The promise of America is that government does not seek to regulate your behavior in the bedroom, but to guarantee your right to provide food in the kitchen. The issue of government is not to determine who may sleep together in the bedroom. It's to help those that might not be eating in the kitchen. The promise of America is that we stand for human rights, whether it's fighting against slavery in the Sudan. But right now, Joe Madison and others are fasting around what is going on in Sudan. AIDS.
You live, Rev.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go back to the phone. Let me go to the sage in the South. Jihad. Jihad, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
How you doing, my brother?
Good. How are you?
Good. You have a good time in Atlanta yesterday?
Oh, yeah. I thought the session last night at Clark was very good, very meaningful around what Ambassador Young had done. We had a good time.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, look, Reverend Al, 2 things, if I might. The Knesset, I think is what they call it in Israel, voted unanimously the other day to accept the deal. Do you remember that?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, they voted unanimously. And today, they're saying they're not going along with the deal.
That's correct.
So it appears to get the hostages released, They say they're going to do something, and then right afterwards, they said, "No, we ain't doing no two-state solution. No, we're not going to do this. No, we're not doing this. We're not doing that." Now, if someone has a history, and this is to the brother that keeps asking you to talk to Trump,
Right.
I mean that he promised to do us something. Isn't he aware of the 35,000 plus 50,000 lives this man has told? You know what I mean? And I mean, he promised to do what, brother? I mean, the things that he's doing, if this brother is listening, negates all of what he promised. That one promise. So why he keep appealing to you to put you on the spot to try to get you to say, "Well, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna talk to him because he promises that I'm gonna go back to hey Trump. You promise us."
Right.
How many people can we go back to and get and go back to Trump and say you promised us? The man is a habitual known liar.
Exactly. Right.
You know what I mean? And then also to the Hamas situation, he said today that I think they're saying now that Hamas is shooting their own people now. Now they're shooting their own people, so now that's going to break the accord. And now he's saying that when not only will Israel go back into Hamas or Gaza, but America will go into Gaza and finish them off. Are you serious?
That's what he said.
That's what he said. America will go into Gaza. And to be honest with you, Rev, I believe 100% that they were like, out of 100, they were like at 95, and that's why they started this particular negotiation. Because whatever they still have to do is not much if they go in and do what they were doing, what they planned on doing. And no matter what happens, I mean, historically, it really pees me off, because if someone studies this historically, and you go back to 1948, there's a map in 1948 of Israel or Palestine. In the map of Palestine, the Israelis from Europe, or the Jews from Europe, were represented maybe 5% of Palestine. It's right in the map. You pull up that same map today, they now control 98% of Palestine since 1948. Which is the goal from the very beginning. All of those peace talks, all of those conversations, none of them were genuine. None of them were never intended. And really, historically, if you listen to the history and listen to what Netanyahu said, he has a vision of a greater Israel. And that greater Israel vision been on paper for years. They have a picture of it. So all of this negotiation was really stalling and plotting and et cetera, so that they can continue to achieve what they intended to achieve since 1890-something, when Herzog, I think his name was, said that we're going to establish a homeland for the European Jews, because there were already Jews in Palestine, for the European Jews in Palestine. So at some point, we're having this discussion, but when do we start from truth? From truth and history is what baffles me. We keep going back and forth. My man wants to, the other caller, he wants to condemn McDonough. If I believe that genocide is taking place in Palestine, and I believe that Kamala Harris was the president of the United States under Biden, then if I believe that Vice President Kamala Harris supported genocide, it's just common sense. If I really believe genocide was taking place, how can I exclude her?
Right.
Now I might can forgive her. I might can compromise with her based on her position, but I'm not going to distort history to say if I'm running here telling people genocide taking place and she the vice president, and I'm going to say, unless she come out and say, well, I disagreed with it from the beginning. I didn't want to support the president, but I was the vice president and I had to do, be careful. I could reason with that. But I can't reason with him trying to get you to hate this man Madani every time he calls for what Madani's position is, when you clearly say, we're going to give everybody an opportunity to present their position, and then we'll go from there. But it seems to me, and this is just your brother calling you personally,
right,
I feel he's trying to push you in a corner. You know what I mean? And I don't like the way he's doing it. I don't like the way he's sneakily and slick like, you know what I mean, with the compliments and all of this and that, and then try to weave you into a corner to say that you for this and you for that. You know what I mean? That Casey Kasem was a good Muslim. You didn't even say Muslim, right? Muslim, right? He was a good Muslim, but the guys that on air reporting the genocide, they bad Muslims. Come on, Rev. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for letting me.
All right, thank you for your call always,
Uh,
and I look forward to Jihad's call, as I do also many of you callers, including Disco Brian. It's healthy to put this out, and I kind of agree that at one hand you have to be accountable for where you are. Kamala was the vice president, but at the same time, I think that Jihad is right that she has not said in any definitive way that she was opposed to what was going on in the administration. She's written a book. I've read the book. In fact, she mentions us in the book, mentions me and her working together. And she criticized some of the things Biden did and didn't do. That was not among them. So there's two things can be right at the same time. And I think that's one of the reasons we have the show, because we want healthy discussions. Leslie Jennings says, ma'am, Danny is focused overseas too much for NYC. I don't know, Leslie, if he's focused there or if that's what the media is projecting. You can talk an hour and the media take 2 sentences you say, and people think that's all you had to say. And that is not necessarily the case. So I've heard him address New York issues, but I agree that it is, you're correct that he has talked about international issues as well. Demetrius Jones is saying, Reverend Al, the Supreme Court is now leaning toward further weakening the Voting Rights Act. Our ancestors are rolling over in their graves, and they're rolling over because we allowed this to even become possible. We have Ebony Riley, who's the senior vice president of National Action Network, was at Supreme Court today when they did the oral arguments. I understand Janae Nelson from the NAACP Legal Defense Fund did a magnificent presentation. But she said, our vice president, Ebony Riley, said it seemed they were leaning against our interests. And when you look at that court, that you have 5 conservatives, 3 handpicked by Donald Trump and confirmed by his Senate. Everybody you know that voted for Trump or that did not vote at all, tell them you did this. You put us in this position. And, you know, one of the things that I think we don't understand is that you can disagree on some things and still support candidates. There are plenty of candidates I didn't agree at 100%, but if I agreed 70, 80%, I say, well, I agree with them more than who they run against, who I have no agreement with, and who I think is against my interests. Sometimes you vote offensive, sometimes you vote defensive to protect your interests. If you watch a sporting game, one side gets the ball, you have the offensive part of the team, football, or even basketball. Then you have your defense when they get their shot at the basket or when the ball is going to their goal line. Politics is offense and defense. A lot of us want only offense. If you don't do it my way, well, some moves I'm doing just to block the opposition from scoring. Because they scored on us while a lot of us was running around running our mouths against Kamala Harris and even Joe Biden. Let's take a break. Taking more of your calls, 1-877-532-5797, Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back. I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones, and too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. No justice! No justice! No justice! What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa glory, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
Please receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives. It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses for her. She represented the best in our community, and she fought for our community until the end. I first met Miss Franklin when I was a teenager. I'd become youth director of New York Operation Breadbasket, and she would come to the strategy meetings with Reverend Jackson. And I would hear the stories of how when Dr. Martin Luther King couldn't make payroll, Harry Belafonte and Aretha Franklin went on an 11-city tour to raise money for Martin Luther King. Keep it real, keep it real. Artists, hang up Dr. King, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And there's a lot going on the message board. about the New York mayor's race. Interesting. I see Leslie Jennings saying the late great president in NAACP, Hazel Dukes, supported Andrew Cuomo. Then the Democracy.Fund says Mandani's friends with Hassan Piker. O.G. Kelly said that stuff about Mandani is truth. James Thomas says, I'll say this, that I was wishing Mandani Mandani the best and hope he succeeds, but he better learn real quick that the older generation before him isn't going to put up with no mess because they'll call him out. I think that's true. It is interesting when we see from the mayor in Chicago, Brandon Johnson, to whatever happens with Mandani. There's a whole new generation of young mayors coming on. And I think that they are energized by some of the younger voters, but they're going to have to win over some of the middle-aged and older voters. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think that nobody should just automatically inherit a mayor's seat. I just think that is unhealthy. I think it's unwise. And I think that it is going to be detrimental to all of us. I think that it was clear to me that something needed to be done that was, in many ways, different. But everything different don't make it good, and everything controversial doesn't make it bad. And it's very interesting to me how the whole situation has been highlighted a lot because New York is such a big city and all of that, and I get that. And a lot of people pay attention more to New York than they would necessarily pay attention to others' cities. But let me tell you something. The rubber meets the road in the mayor's office. You can say what you want. The mayor's office is where a lot of the goods and services and resources comes down through from the federal government. So that's why I tell people that only vote during presidential elections that they are missing out on what they ought to be dealing with. Same is true. Mayor Rodney Jones on the message board is saying, don't forget about the governor's race in New Jersey. No, same thing is true there. You have a very competitive race there between a guy who says he's not all the way with Trump, but he's basically mega, against a woman who's a liberal Democrat who won the primary over Newark Mayor Ras Baraka. That's going to be a battle, and it's gotten pretty nasty. And I think one of the things I've said to Mandami, I'll say it publicly, is that if he wins the seat, which it appears, if the polls are right, he will. Now, polls can be wrong, but if they're right, I think that what is interesting is that I believe if he's elected, the minute he's inaugurated, Trump and his administration is going to focus ICE and Homeland Security on New York and have a confrontation with Mamdani because they believe that he'll fight back. They want a heads-up battle so they can use that immigrant fervor all around the country for the midterm elections. That's my prediction. And y'all mark this down. They will say New York was taken over by a socialist, and he's letting all kind of illegal immigrants in, and he's fighting us, and they're arresting people and all of that. And everybody's rights will go out the window. He's a perfect foil for that. Now, how he is able to stand up on his principles and not be a foil is going to be very interesting. You know, I think sometimes people mistaken. I used to work with some people that mistaken being stubbornly in your own views, but not strategic enough to maintain your views, but be strategic enough not to play into your enemy's hands or your adversary's hands. It's not wise. You're not helping the people. Well, I'm not moving. I'm not blah, 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 blah. I love my people. If you love them, you want them to win. So you don't have to give up what you believe. It is how you are able to deal with it and master advancing. Greatest revolutionaries in history learned how to master the military strategy if they were having a revolution by military means, or the other strategy. I had to get away from people that all they wanted to do was grievance. They were like Trump, just grievance. All of us have the grievances, but what are we going to do about it? And they call you names. You know, when I went on my own way, I didn't mind them calling me names. I didn't start with them anyway. You know, I became youth director of Operation Breadbasket when I was 12. A lot of the guys that I met and worked with in the 80s, I'd been involved 20 years and had my own youth crowd and all. So a lot of people, you know, it's always interesting to me how people act like your life started when they met you. No, their meeting me started with them. But always be strategic. And I was telling this to man Danny and everybody else. Don't give up your principles. Don't sell out. But don't be so entrenched in your style that you don't say, I can do it this way, I can do it that way. I'm not going to sell out, but I want to get something done. That's what made Adam Clayton Powell great. That's what made Martin Luther King great. And others that got things done. And just people that could just get up and make speeches and just fire people up and show their anger and their disgust, all of that, that was entertaining. That exercised our rage. But it didn't get us anything. We didn't win anything. That's why I loved working with Johnny Cochran and now Ben Crump. I want lawyers to win cases, not lawyers to be martyrs. We supposed to be helping our people get justice, not becoming the objective of being martyrs ourselves. So with Crump, we put cops in jail. Y'all can say what y'all want. Those guys are in jail this morning that killed George Floyd. Crump led that battle legally. We did the streets. The killers of Ahmaud Arbery are in jail this morning in the Deep South. So Johnny Cochran won cases. We get caught up on people that exploit our rage and never win nothing for us. And that, to me, you can do it. Nothing wrong with it if that's the degree you want to do it. But don't get mad if some of us say, wait a minute, we want to get something done. I'm just angry as you are. But I'm going to use my anger to get something done about what I'm angry about. Because to tell you something, I learned very young. These folks don't care how mad you are as long as they stay in power. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back. But the fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you erase your name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit here acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway, left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years, died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you're turning around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mrs. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger who Rosa was, and we got to pass that on. And I want to challenge everybody here today that when we leave here, you ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to make one commitment in her name to yourself. That you're going to either join some organization or you're going to stand for some policy. You ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to resolve that you're going to do something that'll make a difference because we're here because she made a difference. Most people come and go and we never come to say goodbye because their hellos didn't mean anything to us. But we're here because she touched every one of us. And we need to make a Rosa resolution. I said some of the young rappers the other day talking to me about, well, you get on us about calling women out their names. I said you need to come and know the story of a dignified woman. They make the excuse, Mayor Kilpatrick said, well, you know, we love Aretha and that generation, but we just kick it like we see her. We just mirrors that reflect what we see. But there's something strange about that.
I'm ready.
I use a mirror every morning.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let me remind you, Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And I'm already on the phones lining people up. Talk about what is going on with this shutdown, how we break the stalemate, can we break it? What is the impact on our community? It is disproportionate impact clearly in some areas. And I'm going to have some of the members of the Senate, some of the Congress people, and the governors on. I also want to talk about whether this ceasefire in Israel, Gaza, is going to hold, and what does it really mean? And what happens to the two-state solution? And, of course, I'm going to review what happened in the Supreme Court in the oral arguments today. So make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 Saturday and Sunday on MSNBC. You that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Harlem at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, in the House of Justice, 145th and Lenox Avenue. And you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television. And or you can watch it live stream on at www.nationalactionnetwork.net.
You in the Atlanta area, the Atlanta chapter is having a relaunch this Saturday at the National Action Network Southeast Regional offices. I was there yesterday in Atlanta, 632 Peoples Street, Southwest in Atlanta, and they're doing it on this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11:30. Come if you're in Atlanta and want to be part of National Action Network's chapter. If you got ideas, if you think this should be done, this is the meeting to relaunch, refocus, get our priorities correct. Let's go and see what we can do together. And again, that's at 10 to 11:30 this Saturday at 632 Peoples Street, Southwest, our National Action Network Southeast Regional offices. You can call to get information. Talk to Miss Edith at area code 678-732-0405, 678-732-0405. Let's go to Lightning Rod in Detroit. Lightning Rod, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
What's up, Captain? Reverend Al. Thank you, man. I appreciate you taking my call. Looks like you put me right at the top of the list, man. I appreciate that.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, Rev. Now, two things. One would be about the Ukraine and Donald Trump and this peacemaking thing with Israel. And when I say this, Rev, hopefully people are taking notes to get this to Trump or his crew or his people. From what I'm seeing is he's getting too arrogant. He's too cocky about what's going on just because he did something with Israel. I think the thing is going to happen with him is this. He's going to be like, well, I did this with Israel. Now I'm going to force or make Russia. He's going to get too bold, which he cannot do because he can set something on. He can start something because Russia can be looking at him like, oh, you think you did something over there with Israel. Okay, you did a little something, but now you want to be try to be doggish. You see, he has to be more united with the United Nations. Okay, he got away with getting something done with Israel, so-called by himself in a sense, maybe, whatever. But when it comes down to really dealing with those other countries, United States of America do not need to be going at it alone, especially Donald Trump, because that's, for one thing, that's their part of the world, that's their business, and they should be taking the lead first on the majority of that stuff that's going on over there. You got England, you got Africa, you got, I ain't gonna say China. China, half of them bad anyway. But to make a long story short, you got Europe, you got a lot of people over there. The majority of the population of the world is over there, Reverend Al. So I don't trust Donald Trump to be no type of peacemaker to the fullest extent. And he's getting so full of himself, and people need to take notes of this that know him. Say, bro, you can't do it by yourself. If you think you're going to do it by yourself, you're going to start something that, you know what I'm saying, because of your arrogance and you full of yourself just because you got a little bit lucky to make something happen with Israel. Kudos for him getting the ball rolling with that, but he definitely needs to unite with the other people over there so he doesn't have to be, because Putin might look at it like, look, man, oh, you trying to put me on the spot, you trying to front on me? Nah, I ain't going for it. So he better take note of that and just calm down and do it the right way with the United Nations. And now, Reverend, I got a quick question for you. What do you think about Larry Elder, and would you actually have a debate with him on a big worldwide stage? Because I know he's kind of like he's an African-American guy that he's almost like the remix of you. You know what I'm saying? But he's just a Republican, and he always touts and talks about the opposite of everything that you say. So what do you think about this guy, and what do you think about challenging him and being on a big stage?
I have not heard much about what he's doing lately. I know he ran and did make it for governor, and he's been pretty quiet since then. Yes, I've in the past, I've seen him on some new stuff, but I haven't even seen him on new stuff lately, so I don't know what positions he's taking on what. It's interesting to me, he was a big supporter of MAGA and what they were doing, yet I have not seen Trump offer him a position or even access. I've not seen him at any of the events or the affairs at the White House. He does not appear to have access to Trump like some of us had to Obama or Biden. So I don't know what we would debate about, because I don't know that he's representing them or their policies. And I would say to him that if he felt, as he used to say, that why is Obama listening to Sharpton or why is Biden and Harris listening to Sharpton, I'd ask him, why isn't Trump listening to you?
Yeah, well, that's a great point, Reverend Al. But he has a talk show that goes on daily.
Yeah,
and I listen to Republicans.
Yeah, in
I listen to
LA.
Republicans.
You
but
talking
I'm a
about the
Democrat.
radio? You talking about the radio show?
Correct. But you have a great point there. I'm thinking that he's not all that he says he is, but I still would like to see you two guys like actually debate on a big stage. Maybe I can help set that up, because I would like to be on your team against those guys, because I think once you debate too as well, you can get to some common ground on what needs to be done and maybe find some type of common ground, because two intelligent people, one thinks one way, we think our way, but they might have some good points that might want to.
I have no problem. I have no problem
yeah.
talking to people I disagree with. In fact, there is a Congresswoman, Frederica Wilson, has a commission on black boys and men, and I'm on the board, and Larry Elder's on the board. I've been on Zoom board meetings with him, and we agreed that certain mentoring needs to be done. I'm not, I've always felt, Rod, that people that can't talk to people they disagree with are insecure about their own positions. I talk to anybody because I know what I believe, and I believe it. And we can talk, we can debate, we can argue, we can do whatever we want to do, because I'm not insecure about what I stand for. So I'm not opposed to that. You said that you can try to set it up. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, and I'm not going to cancel nothing important to debate Larry Elder, but I'm sure I can find hours sometime in the next 6 months to have my grandson and I play, and I can do that on the side. Thank you very much for your call.
Pay-per-view, that's pay-per-view TV right there, must-see TV.
Well, now you're getting into something else. I don't know whether I want to raise money for Larry Elder. Now, if you get into pay-per-view, you get into business on where does the money go, what agenda support. You don't went from a little idea now to where you went from being kingmaker to Don King, and that's a whole different negotiation. Thank you for your call. Let me say I have had a lot of ambitions in life. I wanted to build a national organization. We've done that. I wanted to be able to help shape some of the national conversation around race and inequality, and I've done that and continue to do that. And I wanted to be one to keep the legacy of those that raised me in the King tradition alive, and I've worked with his son to do that and continue to do that. Debating Larry Elders has never been one of my ambitions. I'll be honest with you. But like I said, bless his heart. Let me thank all of you that have called in, listened in, you that called in, listened in, and couldn't get through but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.